Hey, everybody. I am so excited for the inaugural Virginia Brewers Conference this September 16th, 17th, and 18th in Richmond. Join your peers from across the state for over 30 educational sessions spanning the brewing to business side of our industry. Keynotes will be given by Mitch Steele of New Realm Brewing and Julie Rhodes of Not Your Hobby Marketing Solutions, who's with us today. You'll have the opportunity to explore this trade show and get face time with over 35 industry partners that want to see you succeed. There'll be plenty of coffee, lunch, afternoon happy hours, and 3 nightly receptions. Night 1 kicks off at Bingo, night 2 at Hardywood. Then we're going to finish the Virginia Brewers Conference with a bottle share. I cannot wait for that. We are so proud and excited for you to join us, but I'm not the only one who's excited. So today we're going to meet a few people who will be joining us in September. And Julie, you get to say hello first. Tell everybody who has not seen your face on the internet before, or maybe they have, what you do in the world of beer.
I hope they have, especially here. That's the hope. Hi, I'm Julie Rhodes. I'm the owner, operator, founder of Not Your Hobby Marketing Solutions. I'm a strategic business consultant that specializes in teaching folks about sales and marketing and distribution management and all that fun stuff. I reside in Colorado. Normally, I'm obviously not in Colorado right now. I'm on the road at the moment because I'm en route to another conference, the Texas Brewery Roundup. So shout out to the Texas Craft Brewers Guild here. And I'm outside because the Wi-Fi signal is better. So forgive me if I'm sweating, but I'm really happy to be here. I'm super excited to be doing the keynote on day 2. We're going to talk about some very, very cool stuff, and I'm going to save juicy details for.
We'll dive into that shortly.
Yeah.
Karmen, you're up.
Thank you. Hey, everyone. I'm Karmen. I'm sales, communication, and marketing with Tap Hopper. We're located here in North Carolina. We are a mobile canning company, but we also recently branched out into digital printed cans. So we're excited to be launching that program here soon, especially at the Virginia Brewers Conference. Besides that, we're excited. We've worked in South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee. We're excited to be branching into Virginia a little bit more and getting to know everyone up there.
I've seen you a bit this year, so excited to join you again in Richmond.
Thank you.
Travis and Jasper, your turn.
Travis Tedrow here with Jasper. We're the owners of Jasper Yeast. We're a yeast propagation lab in Northern Virginia. We service the Mid-Atlantic, across the country, and even internationally as of the last couple of years. Been in the industry for quite some time. Jasper, you want to say a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I did research for a while, and after that I joined a brewery here in Virginia, worked there for a while, became the head brewer there, and then around 2016 or so, both Travis and I decided that it would be a good idea to grow high-quality liquid cultures for this area and really help the local brewing community. And it's kind of how we slowly got started. And we've been doing it for a while now. Yep. And that's kind of our story.
You're almost at that 10-year mark. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Marcus, long time no see.
Hi, Andrew, and everybody out there. Marcus, the head brewer at the Capstan Brewing Company in Hampton, Virginia. Really excited to be able to attend this the Brewers Conference here in Virginia, and everything that's going on. It's going to be busy for me, as there's a lot of things I want to bounce around and see between the brewer side and the administrative side, along with parcel ownership side. Just learning as much as I can.
And Marcus, you and I see each other probably more outside of the state of Virginia than we do inside the state of Virginia. So this will be fun. And we're only like 20 miles away from each other.
Well, I mean, we probably live less than 12 miles from each other. But yeah, I mean, Andrew also helps us with the Coastal Virginia Brewers Alliance and get us moving along. And we appreciate that very much.
And honestly, Marcus, it's so great to always connect with the Coastal Virginia Brewers Alliance, because the Coastal Virginia Brewers Alliance, and we've got the Loudoun County Brewers Association. It's so important to have those local level organizations there. We could probably have another call discussing the value of those, but no, I'm thankful you exist.
Thanks. No, it's definitely like the Alliance brings a lot to the industry within this area and branching out. You put me in connection with other alliances through the country, and I've had conversations with them also. So I appreciate it.
Love it. And Pulkit, your turn.
Hey everyone, my name is Pulkit Agrawal, and I'm the founder and CEO of Beer 30 by the Fifth Ingredient. Great to see everybody on this panel, and I'm super stoked for the Virginia Brewers Conference. Beer 30 is actually going to be the presenting sponsor as well. So we'll have some good items, some surprise items, tank tops, things like that we're going to be giving out, but have some really fun things in mind. With that, yeah, so my quick story is that I started off as a process engineer at Ballast Point Brewing in San Diego, and really moved into this business, the Fifth Ingredient, in 2017. And the objective was really to help breweries focus on using their data to make better beer and really focus on better efficiencies. And so Beer 30 is an end-to-end system that can help breweries track their data from grain to glass, brewery management systems, everything from brewing process, cost of goods sold, sales, accounting, and demand planning. So, and much, much more. So looking forward to working with more breweries, and Marcus is one of our customers. So it's really cool to connect with him on a panel as well.
Love it. And Pulkit, I appreciate your support over the years for the craft beer professional side of things. And we're producing the event in Richmond, and so excited to have you involved at that level at the first one. So thanks again for all that you do.
Yeah, thanks for thinking of us.
So now let's dive in. Julie, you mentioned that you are in Texas right now, and you probably go to more state brewers conferences than almost anyone I know. So my question for you is, why are they so important? Why do you do this to yourself?
Don't forget Canada. I go outside of the United States. I dip up into Canada as well. So they're very important.
Julie, there's another one happening in Asia, in Singapore in October, the Brew Asia conference. And then, Australia and New Zealand come about in August, September every year. So if you want to go outside of Canada, I can definitely get you connected for Australia, New Zealand, and Asia.
Honestly, I am open to it. I am not opposed to it. The hardest part is learning their distribution system. So for anybody that complains about the 3-tier system, try looking at international ones. You'll be shocked at what goes on. But thank you. I will totally be open to that. I don't know. I mean, coming from somebody I run my own business 100% virtual. And some people are like, oh God, how do you even do that? And Andrew, you do a bunch of virtual stuff too. We do virtual stuff together. But there's something kind of special about being in person. You get a different dynamic. I think it's sort of the unexpected factor, because every time I go to one of these events, I sort of have an idea of what's going to go on, and you know what I mean? What you're going to talk about, and maybe people that you might meet, but it always winds up that something unexpected happens. I learn something new. I meet somebody that I didn't expect to meet before. I'm introduced to a new product or service or something like that. So, I think just having an in-person dynamic is a big advantage. And also, hopefully y'all can't hear that. Of course, they decide to mow the grass when I'm outside. Thank goodness for AirPods with noise cancellation. The other thing though, and it wouldn't be Julie talking if I didn't tie this into marketing somehow, but there is something special. Our human brains like to connect people through our eyeballs. I know that sounds weird, but if you notice your social media and stuff like that, whenever you post pictures of humans or dogs or things where you can connect, you know what I mean, with eye contact or something personal, there's a reason for that. And it's a happiness part of our brain that switches on when we can connect with people like that. It feels like you have a more human, personal connection. So I think that's a big part of it too.
I couldn't agree more. I'm so thankful for the internet and conversations like this, but there's something special about the rush you get when you're in the same room just sharing a pint together.
So true.
Yeah, and Brene Brown, who's one of my I love her. She talks about groupthink all the time, and that there's some kind of magic sauce that could happen online, and we kind of had to do that, you know what I mean, for a while, and that's totally fine. But it accelerates, you know what I mean, at 10x's when you're in person, which is cool because then you stumble upon things you didn't know before.
So are you going to take the RV to Richmond, or are you going to fly out here?
We have not decided yet, actually. I want to, but it kind of depends. My kids are going back to school in September. So if I can't make it happen, but we are taking it to Wyoming right after Virginia. So Wyoming folks, I'm coming for you in September. That's a little bit closer though. That's a very short drive. Virginia's quite a haul. We'll see.
Well, Karmen, you make it to a lot of state conferences as well, and you've been in the industry both on the brewing side and the partner side. What do you love about these events?
Just kind of echoing what Julie said there is it's really fun to kind of connect the dots with people in person. The amount of friend requests or suggestions that you see on different things. It's like, well, I think I know that person. We have a lot of different mutual friends, and getting to meet them in person, like she said, make eye contact and have that, cheers over a beer is really great. In my role as tap hopper, I do sales with them to meet different customers across North Carolina and South Carolina. And for us, it's just, why go to 30 different breweries and talk to them when I can go to a room full of 30 different people and talk to them? Everyone's there for the same reason. I also love gleaning the information from folks, kind of just being that sponge of, what have been your experiences, whether it's on the beer side or canning side, to kind of just get a better idea of what their experiences have been like, or, what woes they've had working with mobile canning or with their canning line. The more information I know in general about the industry, it means that I can back up any conversations that I have with someone. So that's just kind of the best part about it, is just gaining that experience and the confidence and knowing more about our industry to make those connections with others.
Yeah, so, the learning in those conversations, they're so wonderful.
Oh, it's great. Even at Tap Hopper here, I have a sales assistant now, which is really exciting. I'm only one person, and there's like 700 breweries that we try to go to. And I sent him to like a brew track seminar recently on brewing, and he's like, I don't brew. I was like, it's okay. The more we know, if we know about the product and know maybe the kind of the woes or the things that might kind of come up, or carbonation levels and ways to kind of fix those with our canning processes, it encourages our background and our experience to better suit and find solutions for our customers. So, he was a little sponge that day, and maybe we'll get to brewing one day, but until then, it's kind of fun to kind of put your hand in different baskets there to learn more.
And to go off what you're just saying, it sounds so simple, but the more every person in our industry can learn, the more successful we'll all be.
I mean, I'm sure Julie and everyone else here can understand, like the more you understand, everything connects in different ways, and it's that ripple effect too, marketing extends to the distribution or the packaging side of things, and that's that full circle of getting folks into the brewery or to buy the beers and things like that. So, I mean, we're just a step in the process, and being able to do that correctly and successfully helps, really add up to the perfect equation for everyone else.
Love that philosophy. So for everyone else here today, I'd love to hear, why are you excited for the upcoming Virginia Brewers Conference? And at this point in time, anyone can jump in at any point.
Sure. I'll jump in real quick. Obviously, we're here in Virginia, and we know a number of the breweries and operators in the state. But if this week was any indication, we were at the Virginia Craft Brewers Guild Gala Awards ceremony. And there's still a lot of people that we haven't had a chance to meet. And there's always breweries that we haven't even heard of, new places popping up. So for us, it's a way to meet some new folks, connect with people that we work with, that even, like you said, if you're close to somebody, you might still not have a chance to have a beer, catch up with them, and then see what trends are happening, what people are interested, what kind of questions they have that they might not have an opportunity to ask us in the normal course of the business. I saw a lot of the newer, younger set of brewers on Monday, which was nice. People that you might not have placing orders for ingredients, but they're still involved, and they get to say, hey, use your product, enjoy that, and get some feedback. So that's one of the many reasons I'm excited to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. And obviously with that as well, it's like for us also an opportunity to learn. I mean, we all know, learning never ends, and these are great opportunities to do so. And you always meet new people, and it just never ends. So I mean, we have to stay sharp. We need to be involved, and that's like one reason as well. Yeah.
No, I'm excited. It's the networking aspect of getting to know every little aspect of like who does what, who to go to, even if you have a question. Like Karmen and I have not actually know anything about tap hopper now in the cans in the world, and we're eventually here maybe within the next 18 months going to go into a production canning, so it's like grabbing another person to figure out, like, all right, what do you do, what do you offer, that's really what I feel all these conferences that are with. And especially with Beer 30, I mean, Pulkit, like your team is just amazing. And, like just asking questions and just little things, how to do something different within the software, or even asking, the other brewers that use the software, how they use it in a certain way. It's the connection, learning more, knowledge is power. That's really what it's about.
That's great. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you for that shout out as well. I appreciate that. And the team has absolutely loved working with the Capstan team as well. Even from like the early days, I was there when your previous head brewer was around, and she showed us around the entire facility. So that was really nice to come by. We were actually there for CVP Norfolk. And so, looking at Virginia Brewers Conference, I'm super stoked for, this inaugural conference, and hopefully, which is first of many years to come in Virginia. And I think for me, the biggest aspect in any of these conferences that I go to is really that community aspect that I've really started gravitating towards, of really finding friends, which at this point, Karmen, Julie, we've met a number of times. Andrew, obviously, for the last 4 years, we've had a lot of conversations. And for me, it's like that friendship aspect that really comes from the conferences, but then also meeting customers, right? And so like meeting Marcus in person and talking to him, talking to our other customers in Virginia becomes really exciting, because then we're able to actually get that raw feedback of what's going well and where can we improve. And I think that's something where, like Julie, to your point, we can do that virtually. We do so many Zoom sessions and things like that. But when you're having that same conversation over beers, over drinks, just hanging out, and in a non-formal Zoom meeting from 11 to 11:30, I just feel like it leads to a lot more of a connection and a lot more authenticity. And it leads to that level of transparency of, whoa, like this is something that we're doing really well, or this is where we can improve. And then after each conference, we do a debrief session. And during that, we talk about what are the people going to the conferences actually hearing, right? Like, what are they hearing from people on the street? What is it that we need to do from a product roadmap side? And those are all the really exciting pieces that come with conferences. And so with Virginia, I'm super stoked for that, and also really excited for the sessions as well. And I know, Andrew, you're going to do a really cool job of putting these together. So it's going to be nice getting a good feel of what that is to come.
Yeah, well, thanks, Pulkit. It's been fun over the years to just watch you grow as a speaker, because we've really watched you come into your own. And I love the focus of your current talks. And at the VBC, you're going to be speaking on Thrive in 2025, how strong leadership can make or break your brewery. How did you land on this topic?
Yeah, really good question. So during CBC, Craft Brewers Conference this year, I partnered up with Garrett Marrero from my brewing company, Craft Ohana, and Jen Briggs, who is working with Carl Strauss, has worked with other facilities and other breweries as well, New Belgium back in the day. And the three of us did a panel on leadership. And what was really exciting for me to see was a really well-attended panel, about 400 to 500 people in it. And what was very exciting was that a lot of times as brewers who are scaling a business, or just in general as entrepreneurs scaling a business, we're many times just trying to figure things out as things come up, right? A lot of people are passionate home brewers that then got into this business and then need some sort of template, need some sort of guidance. And one of the things that I've come to realize is from our own learnings of growing the Fifth Ingredient as a bootstrapped company, from me on my own now to 20 employees, leadership is such a huge aspect that really is the break or make factor when things aren't going well or when things are going really well. And as a whole, one of the big things, as we know, our biggest churn reason right now for breweries canceling Beer 30 is just they're shutting down, right? And so when you're in that industry where things are definitely shutting down, going towards the negative, that aspect of thriving really comes from understanding, well, as a leader for a brewery, as an owner, as the head brewer, production operations manager, everything else, that becomes really critical to then understand what type of decisions you need to make in order to keep being successful. And what is it that you're looking at from a P&L perspective? What is it that you're looking at from a KPI perspective? What is it that you're looking at from a team morale perspective, right? And that's one of the biggest challenges that I've had, honestly, looking back at the last 7 years, is getting into that mindset and mentality of, it's not just me working solo or me with a couple contractors and Ryan, my business partner, but more of a, oh, we have different department leaders now and they have their own needs, and then their team below has their own needs. And when you start scaling that up to, breweries that need particular leadership team members in brewing and packaging and sales and front of house taproom management, leadership is a key aspect to be successful. And so that's really where, looking at 2025 and with, CVP, with this with not CBP, but Virginia Brewers Conference, VBC, happening in September, I thought it'd be a really good topic for Q4 and as people get ready for 2025.
Yeah, I think leadership is definitely an important topic right now. At a recent workshop we did in Portland, Maine, we had 2 brewery owners talk on it, and they recommended the book, The Culture Climb. And I would say that the session that they led in Maine, it really resonated with the audience. So I'm super pumped for your talk coming up in September. Now, Julie, I'd like to turn to you on this one. You're going to be giving the keynote, and I'm so excited for that keynote on day 2. How are you going into this talk differently from some of your other sessions you gave over the years? So a little more background that I'll brag on you about. I can literally throw any topic your way, and you can give a really insightful talk on it. And you do a great job with those. But going into something like a keynote, what are your goals and how are you preparing?
Yeah, it's a little bit different ball game for me with this, just because like usually my thing is education, and that's what I hang my hat on all the time. So most keynote talks are not. I don't want to say they're not focused on education, but it's not really like a workshop-y kind of environment. You know what I mean? Like it's more like storytelling and things like that. But for anybody that's on my email list, that I like to tell stories anyways. I don't know if you saw the most recent one, but, I compared like social media awareness and, building brand awareness and stuff like that to Jay-Z and like his rise of his career. So it's good. I'm pulling from that. I guess you could say I'm probably pulling from like my own personal writing and like my little community a little bit more, because it is more about like storytelling and pulling from my experience. I know I didn't talk about my experience in my intro, but for those that don't know, I'm pushing over 2 decades in this industry. I've been around the block a few times, all on the business side. I've never been like back of the house production, although I'm married to a brewer turned packager, delivery guy, canning line builder, all the things. So I absorb a lot of that, and not to say I don't know a lot about production and packaging. I learned by osmosis, like from Jason, but I've always been on the sales and marketing side. Not too much finance, but I do have to understand finance to do what I do. Lots of supplier side sales, lots of distribution management, chain management, national account selling, things like that. So, the keynote is really going to be, people hear me talk about strategy all the time. And again, for those that know me, I don't like to throw out buzzwords and not explain like what that actually means. So we're going to dig deeper into what that actually entails for modern breweries that want to compete on the level that we're at now, with saturated market, super competitive, I don't want this to come off negative at all, but craft beer has been riding this wave for like the past like decade, and we've kind of got to a tipping point. I don't know if anybody's read like Gladwell's Tipping Point, but it's a really good one to read. And just we're gonna have to do things different than we used to, and there's a lot of talk about we have to have strategy with our breweries. We have to have a clear business strategy. We have to think strategically, tracking KPIs, tracking metrics, all that kind of stuff. But I really want to get into the nuts and bolts of like what that looks like and how I use that with my clients, how I've used it in the past, what's worked, what hasn't worked, things like that, so that people can really wrap their brains around that completely. And that's going to be the keynote. I have no idea if you want me to talk about my second session. I can, but I don't want to.
Tell them quickly about that. That'd be great.
So the other one, I am doing double duty, but this one is brand new. I've never talked about this in public before. It's called Beers and Beers, and I'm going to talk about the flywheel method of creating a marketing strategy. So I'm sure people have probably heard of like a marketing funnel, right? And it looks literally like a funnel, and you're supposed to, like start out your customers at the top, but then you kind of, shout out to the landscaping crew here. All right. Anyways, you work the customers all the way down, right? To the point of where they're like a regular customer or like a key account, whatever sales or, that you're talking about, right? What that process looks like. But, marketers figured out more than a handful of years ago. That cycle
I think they're getting pretty hard with the landscaping right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is
Wait,
it? I was
you're
hoping
good
these
now.
would cancel it out. Okay. He's like moved away with his leaf blower. Thank goodness. But if you think about it, like that customer journey doesn't stop when you make them a regular customer or like part of your mug club or loyalty club or whatever it is, right? Like you want to keep like circling them around and re-nurturing them and putting them back into that like customer journey. And so that's the concept of the flywheel, and we're going to go through it. I'm going to teach everybody how to map out their own like customer journey so they can figure out, you know, where there might be gaps or like leaks in the pipeline and stuff like that, so that they can optimize what they're going to do.
Well, I'm excited for both your talks, and I'm so pumped to have you come out to Virginia. I know you've been to Richmond before, but this is the Virginia Brewers Conference, and we appreciate you making the trip and excited for that opportunity to learn from you.
I am too.
I'd love to go to Travis and Jasper for a minute, because I already know your talk is probably going to be one of the most popular. I mean, you just decided to throw the word lager in there to get everybody to fill the room. So tell us a little bit more about what you
That's the goal, yeah. Low-hanging fruit. Well, I'll a brief note. I started working in the craft beer industry in 2006, but I got a good job change in 2013 for a larger brew pub chain. And I remember them talking, even then, they're like, oh, you know, we've been making lagers for a while, but it seems like the craft brewing industry is catching on and everybody's talking about pilsners and clean lagers. And that was over a decade ago. In my opinion, like it's just continuing to rise in popularity. There's still a lot of mystery behind it. And even when I went from an ale brewery to a lager brewery, it was a whole new learning curve. And we see that every day when we talk about people that are trying to throw a bigger net in their beer portfolio, trying to be competitive and be relevant. There's a lot of education around it that, you know, in the brewing industry is fun because there's no barriers to entry, right? You have a passion to dream and you like cleaning kegs, you can work in a brewery, but everybody's coming from different backgrounds. And so there's all types of starting points for people. And we see that every year, whether it's people in the industry for a long time or new, there's a lot of questions and there's always something to learn. We did a similar panel and it was very well received. We're going to be hosting with Eric at Benchtop Brewing. Fantastic lager brewery. A lot of good notes from him. And I think we have to talk to you about this, but he was interested in bringing some beers to sample for our seminar, if that would be allowed.
I think that's absolutely allowed and will be appreciated.
Yeah. So he has a couple different batches that he's going to give a little presentation within our forum. We'll have some structure to it, but we're also going to receive a lot of questions from people and see what they're interested in.
Yeah. Where was the previous panel again?
In North Carolina.
North Carolina, yeah.
Yeah, we hosted one at the North Carolina State Guild, and that was a lot of fun. We had Pilot Brewing and a couple other local breweries, and then a Northern Virginia guy as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you think about American craft beer, right, it was very innovative. It really pushed the envelope. And back in the day, you know, the ingredients became kind of crazier and crazier, bigger, more and more. And then lager is like really truly going the other way. Tradition is very, you know, you need to know where the tradition comes from. People are falling back on old world methods. Obviously, there's a lot of innovation as well. But and sometimes less is more. And how you can get there is, you know, is kind of a different path you have to take. And like Travis said, you know, I worked in a brewery as well, and we were making some really good lagers as well. But also from a scientific yeast perspective, there's a lot to be learned there. And lager yeast is very different from ale yeast, so you need to treat it like very differently. And yeah, we just want to share our knowledge, want to share what we know, and hope in that way that we can, you know, make all lager beer a little bit better.
No, I'm definitely excited for that panel. I know a lot of attendees will be as well. Now, Marcus, I'd love to pick your brain on this one, and you hinted at it earlier. I mean, you never stop learning. But with regard specifically to like the sessions that'll be taking place at the Virginia Brewers Conference and just the opportunity for professional development, what are you hoping to get out of the event?
So, you know, and just grabbing, like, I mean, with Travis and Jasper talking, you know, like grabbing that, you know, that knowledge, that little bit of extra knowledge, like with lager yeast and how to use it a little bit more effectively. You know, we just had the Virginia Craft Beer Awards this last Monday night, and I actually got my sheets back, and the American Light Lager category, there was 26 entries. which is a lot of entries. So we start to see that how it's loggers, where everybody's starting to make that light lager, grabbing that little bit of knowledge on like how you are using whatever yeast strand. Are you every few days raising temperature, or starting out at whatever temperature, but grabbing that a little bit more, because the way I do it is different than the way everybody else does it, and grabbing a little bit more knowledge. Excuse me. And like with Julie, like my role here at Capstan is really like huge umbrella. So like learning a lot about marketing, also being a sales rep for the company. Like, how do I present that to future customers? How to play it as how to sell it. And then even within like partial general manager hat that I wear, with marketing, social media, like how do you get those little things out there? And it's just so encompassing. Like this is like an overload for me, because it's just like it's going crazy. And my wife is coming also, which she's a lead beer tender at another brewery locally. So she's also trying to grab a lot of stuff. So we're gonna probably like sit down for the next
divide and conquer,
and just kind of like compare notes. So again, it's grabbing that little bit of knowledge from here, there, every little session that we can make it. And unfortunately, there's a few sessions at the same time that I'm not going to be able to make.
I'm sorry, Marcus.
But I'm sure they might be recorded and be able to see them later. So.
You should bring a few more people on the team so that way you can divide and conquer, and everybody
I
can slip in a
know.
little bit.
You're doing the combo. That combo is very typical, by the way. Please don't ever like beat yourself up for, you know what I mean? Like hold yourself to like too high of standards. There's a lot of people that are like owner, operator, brewer, marketer, salesperson. It's not a trifecta. It's like, I don't even know what goes beyond that, but it's like all the, like, what is that? Curious George with like all the hats like stacked up.
And like, and Pulkit, you were talking about leadership, and it's funny because I actually have a degree in leadership. So like now I'm like really super interested now to go listen to you. And
the pressure's on since I've been doing it just based off of learning. So it'll be really interesting to see.
That's the best way to learn, Yeah. That's funny.
Well, cool. Karmen, I'd like to pose a question your way. You're on the trade show side of things, and we've all been to conferences. Trade shows, they can be kind of intimidating sometimes. You walk into a room, see a ton of vendors just like hungry for your attention. How do you recommend people coming to the conference approach the trade show?
Great question. My approach to sales in general or going to trade shows is, I'm not there to really get the sell. I'm there to learn more about the customer, and the customer meaning like, we don't even call our people customers. We call them partners. We consider ourselves a partner in their business and them a partner in our business because their success is our success. So, getting to take a selfie with PK and saying hey to friends. And I think that those little moments really just build up. So, a lot of the time, my boss will touch base and stuff after conferences, be like, all right, who'd you get, this and that. I'm like, listen, man, that's not really how I operate. It's about who you meet. So just going in with the intention of trying to just be comfortable, have a good day, and make those connections instead of just kind of asking for a sell and learning more. I think that approach really is successful. So that's what I'm about. I'm just there to make some friends, and along the way, I'm proud of what we do. So I think eventually it kind of grows its own seed in its own way.
Anyone else?
I think adding on to that, I'll add on to that from both being on the brewers side before and now, looking at the brewers that come by our booth. I think one of the biggest things that is really helpful and leads to more success is actually understanding like what are some of the things that your business needs right now, and if it's particularly like, hey, we are bottlenecked when it comes to mobile canning. Hey, we're bottlenecked on when it comes to like the strategy for distribution marketing. Hey, we definitely need more yeast, or we need something on the brewery management side, or I've tried on my spreadsheets from my current vendor. Like having some of those questions in mind becomes really good, where as you're walking around, you're able to see all these different trade shows and booths, and you're able to then understand like, oh, these are the top 3 things that I'm here for. And just having that in mind helps you navigate where you need to go. But in addition to that, just be open-minded, right? Like you may be thinking about those 3 things, but as you're walking, you may come across some new sensors, some new technology, and that may be like, whoa, that's now in my top 3 list that I wasn't expecting. But having a bit of a game plan ends up becoming, I think, a lot more successful when you are navigating a trade show at any conference.
Yeah, I mean, that's great, Pulkit. When we go to like the larger craft brewers conferences where you have, 500 to 1,000 vendors, you really have to have that game plan. At the Virginia Brewers Conference, we're going to have about 40 different vendors. So honestly, you should have the opportunity to have 40 really awesome conversations because, Marcus, I know your philosophy is just you never know what you're going to learn. So having those conversations, going in with an open mind, not being afraid to talk to strangers, because we're all here because we want to see Virginia beer successful.
Yeah. I mean, and it's also true back to being open-minded again. I mean, it sounds like we're all sponges and we're all here to soak up all the information. I mean, my background, I opened up a brewery for 5 years and I was a lot of hats like Marcus over there, other than brewing the beer, I did everything else. But, not everybody knows that about different folks. And like talking to me, I'll talk to you about brand management or anything that day because I like to be just personally and with our business, I like to just be helpful. And I think, I think we all like to be helpful and, kind of provide that platform for anyone within the industry. So like walking through a trade show and just being understanding and, open-minded of realizing everyone has something that they can bring to the table and that they can kind of add. I mean, I trust a lager more than I do an IPA whenever we're canning beer because, it's harder to hide the impurities. You can really judge a beer or a brewery by its, by the beauty of its lager.
And I'm sure we're going to drink a lot of lagers at this event. Every time we host some sort of event, it's always fun to look at the drink breakdown. It's like 80% lagers, 20% like everything else. So there's going to be a lot of lager drinking here. So I guess with events like this, I just said there's going to be a lot of drinking. There probably will. But so it's important to really pace yourself and prepare not just yourself mentally for this, but physically for the days that we're going to be there. Karmen, from your perspective at events like this over your career, we just talked about the trade show, but how can you best prepare for the event as a whole?
Yeah, Pedialyte. No, I mean, in general, comfortable shoes, notebook, and like I said, being open-minded, have a charged cell phone, being in marketing as well, having the idea to take pictures along the way is fun. That's why Pulkit's selfies are so known. It just helps, I think everything is content. And I think if people were more open to maybe, I took a picture of us all talking here right now, and I'm going to use it later. I don't know.
Before we get off, I definitely want to take a screenshot of all of us as well. For sure.
Exactly. So being prepared in that regard, and not being afraid to say hey to someone new.
And for this, like on my side, like I every time I go to a conference or something like this, I always have a notebook with me, something to write down because like I'll run out of business cards or somebody else will run out of business cards, and just getting information written down somewhere because eventually I will use the information, as things progress within, a company, but, and just walking around and being friendly, yes. Okay. Andrew, I won't bring lager, since everybody else will. I'll bring
lager.
Andrew,
at the final bottle share, it's going to be a lot of real great lagers.
Yeah. What are the different beers that people have committed to bringing for the bottle share?
That's to be determined. That's going to be, as we get people preparing, we'll see what people are most proud of to want to share. Because at the end of the day, I think people are going to bring the beers that they're most proud of they want to share, but also the beers they want feedback on. Because that's an important part of this whole experience, getting, honest feedback from your peers. So Pulkit, while you're on unmute, how can we all prepare for the event? Besides bringing tons of delicious beer to share on the third night.
Yeah, I think with similar to what Karmen was saying, bring a portable battery pack as well. This is very different than like Craft Brewers Conference, which is all day, every day kind of thing. This one fortunately has some breaks, which is very nice. And what I'd really recommend is use those break times to actually recharge. If you need to go for a walk outside, get some fresh air, do that, right? Like those things really help because otherwise you're just staying indoors the entire time. And there's a lot of information that's happening, and sometimes it can be information overload. So just being mindful of your own energy levels is super critical about that in order to be successful and have a really good experience. And just realizing like the first thing I do whenever I go to a trade show is see if there's like Gatorade downstairs in the lobby. If not, I'll either get a quick like DoorDash Uber Eats for like Gatorade and water bottles, or just walk down the street to CVS or something and just grab a bunch of items. And I think that becomes really critical because when it's like 1 a.m. and you're coming back to the room, you just want Gatorade.
We're not going to stay up that late this time, Pulkit. We're not going to make it that long.
Cool. We'll see how that plays out. I'm gonna lock that in at the 39-minute mark, and we'll see how this happens.
A conversation Pulkit and I have with regard to like other events, when you go to like a conference, like which night is going to be, I don't know if crazy is the right word to do it, but which night are you going to hang out a little bit longer than the other nights? And we found it's not always consistent.
It isn't. And one of the crazy nights with CBP Norfolk was during Irish Bombs with the owners of Three Notched, right? So it's good times, good experiences. But again,
you kids have fun with that. For the old lady in the group, I will be asleep at like 9 o'clock. So
I've learned to do the after hour stuff after the day. I've met some of and networked with some of the best like brewery owners or other brewers. Just because we're not in that like learning mode, we're just in that like hangout social mode. And that's where I've gained a lot of extra knowledge too, because we just sit down and talk about a beer and I learned something that I wouldn't have learned during the day.
That's where the magic happens.
Go ahead, Karmen.
Oh, I was just saying that's where the magic happens is after socials.
And Julie, I want to talk to you when you get here, because the RV thing, and you're working on the road, and I've got some ideas that I've talked to Andrew about. So definitely want to sit down and talk with you, just for about a half hour or so.
Yeah, sure. You can tell it's like super glamorous. This is like the dream, right? This is the American dream. I'm like sweating and on Starlink. No, it's great. And honestly, it's one of the things that I love about this industry. Like I have a BA in marketing, and I knew from the day I graduated, like I don't want a cubicle job. I don't want a regular 9 to 5. I had been in service industry forever, and I was like, how can I keep going with this? You know what I mean? But like use what I have. And I consider myself very lucky to get to do that. And, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. I ride that small business owner entrepreneurship train, that roller coaster every day. Like some days are awesome. Other days you want to put yourself in a corner. Like Andrew knows, like I'm not going to try to like glamorize it at all. Like it took a long time for me to get to this point, but it's very rewarding, and I get to do stuff like this, and I get to meet people like this, and it's really awesome. So
you put a ton of work in, Julie. You're awesome.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it, and I PK, we know each other already. Karmen, I haven't met you in person. Marcus, Travis, Jasper, it'll be nice to meet everybody. Andrew, I'm gonna hug you when I get there. So of course.
Travis, I think you had something you wanted to throw in.
Oh, yeah, just jumping on what we experienced going from larger conferences to smaller ones. And then we always participate in evening events. And sometimes some of the people that are intimidated to walk up to your booth during the day, it's a little easier to catch people. Even if you're waiting for an Uber, you might run into people at the conference just going out. But also, I try to live by this, and I don't always follow it, is to not go too hard the very first night that you're there. Sometimes this is like, hey, I'm on vacation, I'm excited to see everybody, and then you stay up too late, and then you have to work your booth the entire next day, and it becomes more work than a fun opportunity to connect with people. So if we can live by that, that makes that first day more fun, and then stay up way too late on the second or third night when the day is shorter. I felt the pain of that by staying up too late the night before MBA meetings.
Oh yeah.
I have a 7 a.m. flight out on Thursday, so that can also just mean that at the bottle show you just keep going and not sleep and just keep going and go straight to the airport.
Gosh.
Good luck with that, PK. One thing that I've learned from going to so many events over the years is talk to strangers. Don't be shy. We're all in this industry together. We all want to learn together. Make new friends, because so often I've found, we stick to our bubbles. You talk to the people at the breweries closest to you, but you don't talk to the people halfway across the state who can give you tons of unique insight or dealing with things at a slightly different angle that could help you out. So talk to everyone you possibly can. I know I'm pumped for that opportunity.
And one thing I'll add into that is Andrew has done, in any of the conferences I've been to that Andrew's organized, he's done a really awesome job of icebreakers at the beginning that force you to actually get connected with other people. And so that becomes a really good randomized opportunity to then just have new friends that you make at the very beginning. And so I'm not sure what the icebreaker is going to be this time, but
you put me on the spot on that one because I'm not planning one, honestly. The tone's going to be a little bit different, but the relationship building will be facilitated the same way. I promise you that.
I was
right.
waiting for the email of what's going to happen on the first evening. So,
Andrew, I think we may have to pull an audible now and do an icebreaker.
We'll see where we end up with that one.
I do have an idea. If you want to steal an idea. I can't remember who hosted this event during CBC in Las Vegas. It was one of the socials right after the seminars. But they had a networking bingo card, and on the card you had to introduce yourself and find somebody that was under 500 barrel brewery, canning company, malt supplier, vendor, like that. And if you filled out your card, there was some sort of like free swag type of thing. I thought it was really fun because I was just looking for some free snacks, and I ended up meeting a couple of people that I would not have met.
That's a really good idea, Travis.
Oh, that's cool.
Awesome. So everyone, I appreciate all the time today. I can't wait to see you in Richmond and maybe a few of you before. But if we could sum this conversation all up, why is the Virginia Brewers Conference this September 16th, 17th, 18th a must-attend event for Virginia breweries? I love, in your own words, let's make it like 10 or less. Why do people need to be there? And Julie, because you went first, you get to go last. Pulkit, sorry, you just unmuted. You get to go first.
Okay. I was going to think about this. It is a really cool networking opportunity for Virginia brewers. 10 words.
Oh my God, I've got nothing to say to that.
No, but seriously, it's going to be really fun, and I'm super stoked that it is the first Virginia conference that's fully statewide. We've done a lot of trade shows. Next week, actually, I'm going to be at the Florida Brewers Guild Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And it's just really cool when the whole state gets together somewhere and becomes a really good opportunity outside of just the small pockets and, citywide events. So pretty stoked for the Virginia Brewers Conference. Anybody watching this, anybody in Virginia should really make sure to come out and definitely have a really fun experience and really good learning, networking opportunity.
And I appreciate you and see you in less than 2 months.
Yeah.
Marcus, you're up.
all right. So it's about the networking and partnerships you will build. That will eventually turn into friendships, and that's really the sum of it.
You're not quite as good at counting as Pulkit, but we'll work on that at the conference.
I was in the Navy, so
always appreciate you as well. Travis and Jasper?
I mean, gosh, under 10, right? I'm already
I'm not
already there. I give up.
All right. Have fun, learn, drink beer.
Those are the goals.
There you go.
Okay, Karmen?
Yeah. I've been to other conferences, and what's fun about the ones that CBP kind of puts together is that there's a really big emphasis on social interaction. So, the connections are really easy to facilitate. The framework is there. So if you come, you're bound to learn something new and meet someone new.
And when I went to the North Carolina,
I don't know how to count now. That was a little bit.
Well, he talked for like 2 sentences afterwards.
And Karmen, you and I were at that North Carolina event together last November for their conference, which was such a well-run event. And it felt like a family reunion in so many ways. And that vibe, it's special.
Yes.
Cool. Julie, bring us home.
Okay, let's try to continuing education for long-term growth. And I beat all of you.
Wow. Impressive. I'm sure you'll have a lot more words in your keynote, but Julie, Karmen, Travis, Jasper, Marcus, and PK, I appreciate all of you. Can't wait to spend time together in September. For everyone else, go to virginiabrewersconference.com, and we'll see you very soon. And everybody, have a great day. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.